Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. What we're doing tonight is we're putting this sperm whale weather vane together. We've got our two halves there, but we're gonna clean up the inside here right now and get ready for solder. And just get them close, start running a bit of solder wherever they're good, and then the rest of it sort of bring it in wherever it needs to be brought in. Get it put together and then start to figure out where we're going to put the pivot, because until it's put together I don't really know exactly where I want that. It's probably somewhere around here if I had to guess, somewhere around this way. You want the majority of surface area to be towards the back. That way it's always sort of like working its way into the wind. It's not going to be overly aerodynamic or anything like that. It basically just works as like if you were holding a piece of paper and it's going to flap in the wind. You want it to work that way. I don't know, that's probably not the best analogy, but it's not so much aerodynamic as you want it to be like the tail of a kite. It will go where the air is pushing it. It's not like it's flying. It's not like the point is doing the work. The tail is actually doing the work. So if I had to guess, it's probably in here somewhere. But you'll see how I come up with that as soon as I get it together. Because at the same time, it also has to not be too much weight in the back, because that'll cause premature wear on the bar. And the bar we're going to put in afterwards. So anyway, let's get her cleaned up. Protect my ear balls. So, we have both halves ready. This one's still not quite flat. But yeah, it's, like I said before, it's essentially flat. So if I push down with very little force, it's actually bringing it to where I need it. So I don't need to like beat the hell out of it right now. I just need to clamp it there and solder it. And that'll hold it in place. So now that we're ready to solder, we'll get our soldering supplies and get some heat onto it and start putting it together. Just like that. So let's get a little solder on there. Flux there, the flux over here. Get it hot enough for the flux to work. There we go. A little bit of a bubble. Get the flux to do its job. There you go. And we'll put a little lead on there. There we go. A little lead here. Like so. Now we can take this clamp off. And we'll go to another entirely different spot. So we're going to go to the back end where the tail is, because that's going to be where there's going to be the most issues. We're going to press this down about there, and tricky to clamp right now, but I've got a good joint, so I'm going to try and do this with one hand. Tricky. So first I'm going to heat it pretty good. Hopefully that copper don't reach my hand, because it's a damn good conductor. A little fluxy poo. there. And I'm going to lean on it. Try and solder that little joint without clamping, which makes it a little faster for me. There she goes. Okay. Let that freeze. There you go. So there, that's connected. Now let's jump up to the back here, I think. We want to go wherever there's a good joint. That's where we're going to tack it. Right on the backbone there. Looks pretty good right there. So I think we can clamp this part. Right about there. Get a little heat. There, little flux. Okay. And a wee bit of lead. Let our capillary into that right there. All right. That should be frozen. We take it apart. Starting to warm up a little. When it starts getting too hot to handle, you're going to want to get a glove on you. So let's go up to the blowhole zone. Clamp it together. Looks pretty good in that area right there when it's clamped. So we're going to catch it a little bit right in there. So you can see I got a good joint. A bit of heat. A bit of flux, a little bit of lead. Same thing over and over. Let her drip off, don't worry about that. And let her freeze. Okay, and we're just going to work our way along until we close it up really well. So, right in there. Let's get a little lead on one side, a little on the other, a little lead. See how I'm putting lead on both sides? Tinning them. And then I'm going to push down and just heat it till it comes together. Like that, let it freeze. Okay, it's froze, so now that's going to stay together. There. We're going to tack this up in a bunch of spots and then we'll get back to it. So we got a lot of it together now, as you can see. It's all tacked pretty good. There's a few little spots where things will have to come together. You know, like right there. They can be kind of just brought in with the pliers because it's pretty soft metal. Get a little closer so your soldering joints are a little easier. And things like the mouth here. See where it's a bit open? See how it's a little bit open there. I'm going to bring that in. Just like that, see? So now I can solder that way easier. Now you can see why I wouldn't necessarily try to get real crazy fitting it, because once it's tacked together, it's real easy to move around and close holes. So I don't worry about it too much. It's just way faster to fix it after it's tacked up. Alright, so we've got it pretty well tacked up. There's a couple little gaps here and there. I'm going to fix it as I go, but it's pretty well a sandwich that's tacked. Got some strength to it. A few little bits of metal in there, but don't worry about that. It's not gonna, nobody's going to hear it up in the air. So there's always lead drops inside. there's gonna be some holes in the bottom here when we put the bar up through with the pipe. And so let's just solder the whole thing out, and then we'll do a cleanup job. A little gap right there. Just gonna close her up, just like that. My propane torch keeps messing up, and I have more propane for that, but I thought, what the heck? We use the old blowtorch. Why not? That's what it was made for. It actually probably the main use of these torches were for plumbers, and the big soldering iron, copper soldering iron, it hangs in here, sits here, and it heats it up, and we'll be using that after to smooth out some of this lead. Not that we have to, because I'm going to grind it anyway, but we'll show you how that works, and we'll just fire this up and use the proper torch. So we'll do it. Alright, we got it fired up there now. It's all soldered up. Really messy. Lots to clean up. Most of that stuff's not stuck, it's just drippings that kind of run down. It all comes off, see? Not really stuck on there, but what we're gonna do, we're just gonna buff this out. I was gonna run the iron over it, but I don't have time. So we're just gonna clean it all up. So I don't see any holes. If there's any holes as I grind it, I'll solder them shut. Actually, I want to clean the residue of the resin off first. So I'm going to get some carburetor cleaner and clean that stuff off, because otherwise it'll just gum up the disc. Alright, we got the resin cleaned off. I'll just buff it up a little. Get rid of some of this solder lump. That's why you wear safety glasses, guys. Right there. See that big chunk? That just went flying. I think we can still work with that. It's not a huge piece missing, but it is out of balance. Alright, that's just the preliminary cleanup on that. And there's what we've got so far. This is the cross section of it. Kind of about the size of an actual fish. The measurements, actually, it's a good size for average home size weather vane. It's rather big. And it's pretty much 30 inches, tip to tip, nose to tail. And yeah, like I say, there's a little more cleanup to do, you know, once it's all finished. But where it's going to get beaten, banged around a little bit more, there's no point in doing a complete finish on it. I'll be pickling it basically to get the last of the oxides off, so that when it does get out there in the weather, it will turn green relatively evenly. If I leave it the way it is now, it'll be more blotchy, which, you know, if you're after sort of a more old world look, that thing's been around a long time, then that's kind of the look you'll end up with. But for now, that's it. So it's the actual, you know, it's the worst part of the whale's done. The rest of it's just fabrication. So, you know, we'll move on to that and show you how that's done. Thanks, guys and gals. See you around.